So this is the point in the show where I make everybody very, very angry. Okay, maybe not everybody, but certainly the most ardent Trump supporters. I don't mean to. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm not angry. But dear Lord, if you're going to do an impression of Janet Yellen, know that you're doing a very, very, very bad impression indeed. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. The radio show is about to begin. Let us do this. It is my take, as always, that MAGAville is going to be very angry with me. However, that is not the reason not to have a conversation. I never concern myself with whether or not progressives are angry with me. Chances are they're going to be angry with me for the honesty. Here's the honesty. Mr. President, hey, Tony Katz, how are you? I do a radio show called Tony Katz Today every day around this time. It's available as a podcast too. You should download that wherever it is you get your podcast, Mr. President. But that's not what I want to bring it up. Although I appreciate the download and the subscribe. Every time you tell people at a rally in Pennsylvania that the economy is going great, you sound like Janet Yellen telling us that inflation is just transitory. You sound like Joe Biden talking about how terrific everything is. Sir, do you really want to be a guy who sounds like Joe Biden? I didn't think so, sir. No, I wasn't trying to insult. No, I don't need a nickname, sir. I'm good. I'm fine. But if you don't want to sound like Joe Biden's dopey cousin, stop telling everybody the economy is great. And stop listening to any advisor you have who wants to tell you, no, sir, really, this is a good message. The hell, it's a good message. He is in Pennsylvania yesterday. He's in Pennsylvania and they're having this big rally. The rallies are about the midterms, which certainly you could argue that the rallies are about the economy, because without a good economy, the midterms are over. I have not yet been able to surmise the election in Miami where the Democrat won after 30 years of Republicans being the mayors of Miami. A Democrat has won. What does it mean? Could be a couple different theories in here. Well, it's because of Trump. I don't know. Is it because of Trump in Florida? Is it because of something else? Is it economic? Is it foreign policy? I don't have the answer just yet. My eyes were not on the Miami mayor's race. But I am somebody who has my eyes on the midterms, and the midterms will flow from an economic message. I think it's important to have an economic message. The economic message has to be, I understand what's happening. These costs are not fun. I understand that tariffs have increased prices, but here's what I'm doing to make everything better. Start with, well, talking about something good.
About public safety. And they are really truly the enemy of the working class when they do it, because we're going to have a great energy policy. You know, our oil prices are coming down very substantially, energy prices. And honestly, with that, everything comes down, because there's nothing nearly in the category of oil. You wouldn't even know what second is. There are seconds and thirds, but it's so far down the list we don't even talk about them. You get energy prices down, which we're doing. With the greatest amount of drilling, the greatest amount of fuel being produced right now in our country than ever before, by far. It's not even a contest. And when that happens, those prices come down. That's why you're seeing oil per barrel coming down nicely, very nicely. We don't want to go so rapidly because we want the people that produce it to keep producing it, but they're doing good. But it's amazing. But when energy comes down, your other prices come down too, all of your prices. And that's exactly, we inherited the highest prices ever.
Now, you can make that argument. We inherited high prices. We're moving oil prices down. This is a good thing. That is a worthy message. But it's not the entirety of the message, is it? Oil prices coming down is very, very nice. And we're working on this. And we're working on the energy independence, the energy dominance, as President Trump calls it. And he should say, and once we accomplish this, here are the other prices that are going to come down. And then we're going to add the one big beautiful bill, which goes into effect in January. Remember, it's not in effect yet. And this is going to bring these things down. And when you have the one big beautiful bill going on out there, you're not going to have to pay a certain level of taxes. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that dreamy? Everybody dreams of not having to pay these different taxes that those despicable Democrats have you paying out there.
We're also putting thousands of dollars in the pockets of hardworking Pennsylvanians with the largest tax cuts in American history. That's no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, no tax.
Of course you can. Of course you could say that. Although I'm not a senior and I don't get any tips, which I find personally insulting, and it doesn't really help me. The price of milk is too high. The price of beef is too high. The cost of living, like insurance costs, are too high. As I stated, where I work, right, my main radio company, where I get my health insurance through, it's up 20 some odd percent. Everybody is. These are the things. And you can't tell people that the thing that they are experiencing isn't real when it absolutely is. You can't win that fight. And if you go out there and engage a rally where people behind you are holding up signs that say bigger paychecks, doesn't connect when 1.1 million people lose their jobs. Now, I'm going to say to you what you're going to say to me. That ain't your fault. You've got people who are now involved in AI and all sorts of things, and people are downsizing because of it and still dealing with the effects of the Biden economy. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's going to be some changes there, and some people are going to lose their jobs, and it's countered by the trillions of dollars of investment, which, by the way, is only in the figurative, is not in the actual. We got to see the money come in. Now, just a quick sidebar to this comment right here from the chat room. Biden spent 4 years intentionally raising prices with his blank policies. Do you really think he can change that in 10 months? Come on. Mike, I appreciate the comments. Let me say this to you. That is a nonsense statement of a child. Now, I don't want to be rude to you, Mike. I so appreciate you being here. So let me try a different way to say this. Mike, that's the nonsense statement of a child. Dang it, I did it again. Hold on. I can do it. Mike, stay with me. Stay with me, Mike. I so appreciate the comment in the chat as we live stream over at YouTube, youtube.com/Tony Katz. Mike, my friend, my good friend, my very good friend. Did he or did he not say he would lower costs on day one? Once that gets said, everything else gets thrown out the window. And the idea of, well, he can't do it in 10 months. I agree. It takes time to work your way out of all of the inflation, which is slowly working out, not quickly working out of the equation. We might see another rate cut today of a quarter point. I don't think we're so much ready for it, but I think it's going to come no matter what I say. And that can spur more investment, spur more dollars, and hopefully the inflation will continue to stay mostly at bay, although ever present. And the tariffs didn't exacerbate the inflation, which is a good thing, but it did raise costs everywhere. So when you use the line of, Biden did such a terrible job, how are you going to turn this stuff around in 10 months? He said he would. It was terrible messaging from the beginning, and that has been our story, Mike, from the beginning. The messaging was all off and all wrong. You want to talk about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and that doesn't affect as many people as you think, certainly on the tips, the overtime more, and certainly no tax on Social Security. That is going to make seniors very, very happy. I wholeheartedly agree. But you haven't changed the fact that insurance costs, whether it's health insurance costs or car insurance costs, are up all over the place. Although I do hear that car insurance might actually take a downturn. That will be great. It's not there yet, and it's not there now, and your tariffs have increased costs. You keep telling us the tariffs are great, but your tariffs increase costs, and we're the ones paying it. Stop saying it's beautiful. Say that it's necessary, and then explain why it's necessary so people join you in the fight against those who are allegedly abusing us or are abusing us, and don't engage in a resentment that you increase the cost of X, Y, and Z. It isn't that this isn't a battle. It is a battle. It does take time, and nothing has been done from this administration to bring people to their side. That conversation has only taken place very recently, like here with Scott Bessent, who is the Treasury Secretary.
President Trump has closed the border. 2 million people have gone home, so check on immigration. Bond market had the best year it's had since 2020. Interest rates are down, mortgage rates are down. We're starting to see life in the housing market. And
the mortgage rates are going to go back up because the 10-year Treasury has gone up. Don't do this to people. Don't do this to people. Check off the boxes that work, absolutely, and then remember that people pay more for a steak. Talk about what the fight is and why people should be a part of it.
rental rates are down about 5%. I expect they'll be down 10 or 15 from the peak. And then 3, inflation, we're working on that. The energy prices are down. Gasoline nationally is now below $3 a gallon. It's below $2 in a couple of states. So I think we're on a very good track on inflation. And I'm also the IRS commissioner as well as the Treasury Secretary. And I can see that the president's signature initiatives in the One Big Beautiful Bill, and I tell you, he fought harder than anyone for these. No tax on tips, no tax on the overtime, no tax on Social Security, auto deductibility. That the bill was passed in July. Working Americans didn't change their withholding, so they're going to be getting very large refunds in the first quarter. So I think we're going to see 150 billion of refunds, which could be between $1,000, $2,000 per household. Then they'll change their withholding and they'll get a real increase in their.
Now, that is the administration possibly learning their way to here's what's going to happen, here's what it's going to mean, here's where you're going to see it, which is, of course, what you want. Not a speech where you say the economy is A plus 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 or whatever it was. I just don't like mistakes when there aren't necessary, and this has not been necessary. President Trump sounds absolutely out of touch. He doesn't have to. Change the way you engage. If you don't like tariffs, you're a sinister person. Well, I'm gonna need some new theme music. I don't know what sinister theme music is, but I'm gonna need some. Because I know they raise the prices of everything. Because they do. Because they have. Look, I would take President Trump over Joe Biden any day of the week and twice on Sunday. And I argue that right now, even with issues, the country is better off with Trump and this administration than anything Biden, Harris, or some leftist cabal could have cobbled together. I will debate it anywhere. What I cannot stand, what infuriates, is the unforced error. And telling people everything's great is an unforced error. Mr. President, it's just a bad idea. No. Sorry, I'm not being direct enough. That's just dumb. Could you stop it, please? go down the road of this is what we were up against. This is what we did. This is now what's happening. Here's what's going to come. And when this happens, this happens. This is all part of a plan and a fight that we need to fight in order to make costs lower, to make Americans' lives better and keep them that way. And that's why we need to win the midterms. Ta-da! That's how it's done. And I just want to see him be successful on this. And you don't have success by lying. The economy isn't AAA. The economy isn't humming. Not everything is great. That's what Joe Biden told us for 4 years. And that guy was a liar if he remembered he actually said the words at all. Don't go down that road, sir. You don't have to. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. So here's what's going on. Either ice is melting off the roof or the entire studio is just about to collapse. One or the other is happening in my studio right now, and I have no idea which. Yes, there are two feeds. There is a desktop feed, and then there is a mobile feed. That is correct. So Mike was commenting on YouTube, but not the mobile feed. Yeah, there are two feeds. Now it's weird, like that you have to feed it both ways. I think is a bit illogical. But what we have found is that when we do this, you have a greater reach. It's really been incredible. You want to hear something weird about YouTube? So I am like, okay, we've got this short, we've got these videos, and we're putting things out there. We're really trying to get used to systems and how the algorithm utilizes systems. And really, there's no real trick, but rather, what are people watching, and are you engaged in something that people are already interested in watching? But you can do levels of promotion and promote your video. So I've done this with a series of videos. And you know what I get back? I get back, sorry, we can't promote this. It's a political ad. What? It's about Tucker Carlson. It's not a political ad. That's what I get back. So somewhere in their system, a word, a phrase, something gets done, and they don't allow me to engage in the promotion of it. And this is where I get to, I need to hire somebody, because somebody knows how to navigate that process better than me. But I'm starting to really question out loud whether or not there is any algorithmic secret sauce. I think that's something that people say so they can get your money. You're right. And hire me. I think it's just chopping the wood. I think some people get lucky, and for everybody else, you just got to chop the wood. Well, there's something I ain't afraid to do. It's to spend the time going at it. And so that's what I'm doing right here. Anyway, back to the show. There was a story out of Fox News about a flag flying in Vermont. Now, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated and the flags were flown at half staff, I did understand that people are like, wait a second, not an elected official. What's going on? Is this what we do here? Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. I wasn't offended by it. All I say is the people who had questions about that, I can understand. The people who think it's okay to fly a trans flag in a classroom, I don't understand them. Because the answer is no, it's not. Well, it's my classroom, and this is what I feel. With all due respect to the teacher, didn't ask what you felt. I didn't care. Why is it important that you tell me how you feel? Your job is to be a teacher. My job is to be the radio talk show host. I talk about how I feel. I get paid for it. You get paid to teach math. Do you see the difference? The student is not your captive audience in where you get to act out all of your innermost feelings. If you want to do that, may I suggest a one-man show in that small theater above the bowling alley? Sell tickets. I would go for somewhere between $5 and $7.50 a piece. Don't forget to bring some change, because people, they never bring quarters. They don't even bring cash. You're going to need to accept credit cards. No, I don't accept the other flags. If you tell me there's a geography classroom that has the flags of the world on a poster, I get that. They have the flags of the world around. I get that too. But you can't be just flying any old flag. At your home, you can, not at a school. Not at a school. In Vermont, the school district there flied a Somali flag. I guess in solidarity with Somalis who live in Minneapolis, many of whom, but certainly not all, who have been targeted in this scandal that has rocked Minnesota and rocked the country, that could account for billions of dollars. And now their story of Medicaid fraud in Maine, where someone there is claiming that they are from, I think Somalia. I think that was it. And they are claiming that they brought the money back to give to militia groups. Yes, the guy's name is Abdullahi Ali. Interview with Kenyan media discussing contributing money back to Somalia and paramilitary forces. Medicaid fraud in Maine. This stuff, people need to be thrown out of the country if they're not here legally, if they're lawful permanent residents but not citizens, out of the country, or jail. You want to show some level of support for Somalis that you believe are being unfairly targeted, which I can appreciate. You go right ahead in your home. You do it in a school, you're fired. Don't want to hear about your feelings. Don't want to hear anything. You're fired. The American flag, the state flag, I'll take a POW flag. We're done. American flag, state flag, a POW flag. And by the way, maybe, although I'm not personally opposed to them, and we're done. I've got places in the country that say you can't fly an American flag. It's triggering. The Somali flag is okay? No, that's broken. You can feel for people in Minneapolis who are of Somali origin all you want. You don't get to use the school as a place to expose your feelings. No one cares. And if your feeling is an American flag should fly next to a Somali flag on American soil and it's not the UN, maybe you shouldn't work at the school. This is Tony Katz Today. Just making the point. Oh, I'm going to get yelled at and screamed at, whatever. They can go do something with their mother. I'm not paying any attention to that. Cannot do it. By the way, did I see Phillip Rivers? Did I see Phillip Rivers showing up? Look at that. quarterback for the Colts. He's on the practice squad. They'll be moving him up from the practice squad very, very soon. Not here he is. I'm sorry. It's a little bit like I can't believe this is the world. Here he is. Check him out right here. Check this out, producer Landon.
All right. No Zoom. Let's go.
Phil, first of all, welcome back to any face-to-face. But two questions just kind of jump out.
He does not look like he's in football shape. Right? And they're calling him Uncle Phil. And that's supposed to be like Uncle Rico? By the Jets, yeah. Uncle Rico. So there's a weird story that goes on with this. By the way, I'm smoking the Master Blends 3 from Oliva right there. Boo. There it is. Beauty. The Churchill. The story is that he never wanted to be let go. He wanted to keep playing. And someone thought he should go. Remember, they missed the playoffs by a game. Now, producer Landon, for all of the marbles, was that person Jim Irsay or was that person Chris Ballard, the general manager? Someone decided he should go. And that led to the carousel that gets us here. You know what I need, producer Landon, or anybody who can make it? There's got to be an AI way to do this. I need the scene in Avengers Endgame where Thanos said, "You could not stop hating me, and where did it bring you? Back to me." And I need Philip Rivers as Thanos. I don't know if Steichen is one of the Avengers in this case. Anyway, it's just nutty. The whole thing is just so crazy. Anyway, what should we be talking about now? What is next? Also, the Indiana State Senate is supposed to convene at 1:30. So we will get to that. And let me get to this right here. Just writing myself some notes, guys. There. Just had to get that done and get that accomplished. And then there's this interesting thing from Nancy Mace, which I will get into. She's more kooky than she needs to be. It's always my take on Nancy Mace. She doesn't have to be this weird. I wish she was less weird.
Yeah.
Can I get your thoughts on Jasmine Crockett's run for?
So they're asking Speaker Johnson a question.
And do you feel worried about her chances of winning at all?
And the story is that there he is, rubbing his hands together as if he was going to go, Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. What has got Speaker Mike Johnson
Absolutely
so happy?
delighted that Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in Texas. I think it's one of the greatest things that's happened to the Republican Party in a long, long time. She is the face of the Democratic Party. She and Mamdani. Good luck with that. I want her to have the largest, loudest microphone that she can every single day, and we look forward to having that election down there. We are going to elect another Republican senator in Texas. Texas is a red state. The people of Texas are common sense Americans, and what Jasmine is trying to sell will not be purchased by the folks of Texas. That is my.
Let us hope. But don't count your chickens. Don't do it. You just lost the mayor's race in Miami. 30 years Republicans have been mayor of Miami, and they lost to a Democrat. How does that happen? It's a great question. I don't have a good answer for it yet. I'm working on it. Because I will admit to you, I wasn't spending that much time. I should take it back. I didn't spend any time on the mayor's race in Miami. But it's another Democrat pickup, and it's a problem. And when you say Jasmine Crockett has no chance in Texas, I've heard that. I fear that makes people weak, soft. That what that leads to is not fighting every fight the way it needs to be fought. Is Jasmine Crockett a fool? Yes. Is Jasmine Crockett a fraud? I think so. Is Jasmine Crockett desperate to show you how street she is when nothing about her history is street? 10,000%. And everybody knows what I mean. And anybody wants to call me a name, I dare you to find where there's a fault in my argument. Go on. 833-468-8669. 833-GOT-TONY. Jasmine Crockett is desperate to show you how street tough she is. She grew up in the finer schools, doing the finer things, working in law. And now it's this code switching nonsense. It's the attack on Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's I'm so street. It's trash. If only because it's completely inauthentic. Now, if it was authentic, well, that would be something, wouldn't it? But it's a fraud. Man, people don't like frauds. But I fear that Republicans are going to take that race just a little too easy. Which brings us to a story by Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace put out an opinion piece in the New York Times. Nancy Mace is the congresswoman from South Carolina. She's running for governor of South Carolina, and therefore she will be leaving Congress. And she wrote an article that reads Nancy Mace, by Nancy Mace, I should say, and it's "What's the point of Congress?" That's the headline. Nancy Mace, what's the point of Congress? I came to Congress 5 years ago believing I can make a difference for my constituents, for South Carolina, and for a country I love deeply. I was the first woman to graduate from the Citadel's Corps of Cadets. I don't scare easily. She always has to bring that up. She continues, but I've learned that the system in the House promotes control by party leaders over accountability and achievement. No one can be held responsible for inaction, so far too little gets done. The obstacles to achieving almost anything are enough to make any member who came to Washington with noble intentions ask, why am I even here? She goes on to discuss current leadership. She goes on to discuss the insane level of congressional stock trading where they're able to utilize inside information, the need for term limits, which I have always been opposed to term limits. I believe the people are the term limit. And lately, you have my attention. And I will not lie, I am bothered that I spend time thinking about it. Because my original contention still holds true. It's an argument I make with myself. If the people don't like it, the people will replace. But the people don't replace. And so what is being asked, and I think what people ask, right? I think it's what you ask, I think it's what people ask. The system is designed in a way to prevent the replacement. Because the inertia goes with the incumbent. And the set pathway goes with the incumbent. The districts that we have seen where these incumbents come from don't allow for the changes. Now you say to me, Tony, aren't you a fan of redistricting? Oh, yes, I absolutely am. But I can mention it as part of a larger scale thing. I absolutely can. Where we will then get into a conversation about power and the utilization of power, which is exactly what Nancy Mace does. Here's a hard truth, writes the Congresswoman. Republicans don't want to hear. Nancy Pelosi was a more effective House Speaker than any Republican this century. That's correct. Representative Mace continues, I agree with her, meaning Nancy Pelosi, on essentially nothing. But she understood something we don't. No majority is permanent. When Democrats hold the majority, they ram through the most progressive policies they can. They deliver for the coalition that elected them while they are in power. Republicans do the opposite. We get the majority, then become petrified of losing it. We pass the most moderate policies we can pressure conservatives to accept, betraying the coalition that delivered us here. Ms. Pelosi was ruthless, but she got things done. The current House is restrictive and ineffective. Control with barely any results. Republican leadership, writes Nancy Mace, seems intent on replicating her model of consolidation without her bold vision to push through the policies that won us the majority. That, kids, is accurate. 1,000,000,000% accurate. Which is why I have stated in my state of Indiana, we should redistrict, and that the Republicans here are not willing to fight because they are afraid of the power they have. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, sure. But power unused is power unused. I didn't say on every subject, everywhere, you got to be beating people about the head with a stick. I do think that if you have the power, you need to use it to a vision, and you need to use it to a victory. Republicans don't do that. They don't. Now, maybe we're having a difference of opinion in the very concept of victory. Does it have to be large scale? Can it be small? And can it be built on over time? I am a fan of and a supporter of incrementalism. But my incrementalism, if you've ever heard me have this conversation, what do I mean by incrementalism? Is that, listen, you want this much, right? You want a big whole swath. You want a big, giant chunk of cheesecake, right? But sometimes you just get a small slice, right? You want a big chunk, get a small slice. Rather have a big chunk, get a small slice. And you're like, you know what? Better than no cheesecake. That's incrementalism. You got the cheesecake. No, wait. The small slice is just the first part of it. The incrementalism is in going back for another large chunk of cheesecake and ending up with a small slice. Democrats do this outrageously well. We want the moon. We'll give you Manhattan and San Francisco. We'll take it. That's on a Tuesday. And then on a Wednesday, they say, we also want every other major city and the moon. And then we say, well, you can have Chicago. And they say, well, let's not get silly. See, usually that joke is about Philadelphia, but I went with Chicago in this case. I don't know why. Right? It's like the old line, a guy goes on a game show, and first he's told, hey, first prize is you get a week in Chicago, a week in Philadelphia. And they said, all right, well, what do you get for second? If you come in second, what's the second prize? Oh, that's 2 weeks in Philadelphia. Joke's a good joke. If I told it better, it'd be a better joke. But it's still a pretty good. It's a joke about Philly. That's what that is. Why am I going after Philadelphia? Incrementalism only works by saying we want all of it and then taking a little bit of it and then coming back for it. In the chat room, it's being described as the big ask. Now, I as a guy who has never played in the corporate space or has never done any fundraising, I don't know. But yes, same concept, I would assume. Republicans don't do it. They don't fight that way. They don't play that way. They don't push that way. And this redistricting conversation, this redistricting fight, if you will, has really exposed that in large measure. You in Indiana, using it as the example, because it is ground zero of redistricting right now, Republicans have the super majority. They control the House, they control the Senate, they control the governor's mansion, everything. Republicans in the state of Indiana control everything except the banks because that's still the Jews. They control all of it. Oh, please. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Send your emails. Send your emails to Mike Gallagher at yahoo.com. And I'm sure Mike will get right back to you on that. They don't fight. They don't say, we were brought here to do a job, let's do it. Yet what's strange about what Representative Mace is writing here is that you really did think that in the beginning, that's exactly what the Republicans were doing. Moving fast, breaking things, trying to get a lot of stuff done. But I think this is true not just of this House and not just of Speaker Mike Johnson, but in general. It is a flaw of Republicans that Trump has been trying to teach how you overcome. And I'm not saying he's perfect and gets it all right, but as a matter of concept, yes, it's a really interesting piece by Representative Mace. You should give it a read at the Times. Yes, at the New York Times. This is Tony Katz today. Welcome back. Tony Katz today. Oh, good Lord, I've got some Hank Johnson. That's always a pleasure. Ah, the great intellectual heft of Congressman Hank Johnson, who said if you put too many soldiers on Guam, it will capsize. That really happened. Really happened. Don't forget to join, guys. This is January 24th. Trump 1 year later, a red tie gala. It's going to be incredible. incredible night. We're going to laugh. We're going to drink so much bourbon to try. And you get your tickets.tonykatz.com. And we're going to talk about Trump's first year, the highs, the lows, the everything, and then how this is all going to play out in the midterms. How we could take some of these successes and where we need to make changes in order to get midterm success. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Get yours immediately, if not sooner. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Trump 1 year later, a red tie gala, Hyatt Regency, downtown Indianapolis, January 24th. It's going to be amazing. Incredible night. Can't wait. Cannot wait to be a part of it. Cannot wait to show it to you. I've been working on this like it's my job. Oh, it is? Yeah, like it's my job. So good. So fantastic. No, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything about Candace Owens today. No. She is what she is. And that's all there is to it. Is what is. Nothing more, nothing less. And what is pretty damn gross. Gross, for sure. Not backing off my comments, not apologizing for them. Not for a moment. Let's get to the comments right there. And let's make those a little bit bigger. Boom. Let's get back to the show. I don't know why the actress Mila Kunis is the head of her HOA, Homeowners Association. I was on a condo board once. I regret every single part of it. Just insane. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Mila Kunis, actress, married to, what's his name from that 70s show? Ashton Kutcher. I couldn't remember Ashton Kutcher's name. She is the head of her HOA, and she was talking about it on the Today Show, and she said, all people do is complain. All I get is complaints all day long. No one ever goes, you know what? Thank you so much for anything ever. Mila, have you been on Twitter recently? What? You didn't need to run your HOA. Just go on the app next door. There is a boy in our backyard playing with a ball. That's what they sound like. That's what they sound like. I swear to you, true story, so help me, where I live, there's a body of water behind me. And my oldest was big into baseball. Hitting, we had some used baseballs, hitting them and doing some batting practice, and some ended up in the lake. And then there was a knock on the door an hour later, and it was a cop. This is a true story. So help me God. And the cop looked at me kind of sheepishly. And I stepped right outside and I closed the door behind me. Can I help you, officer? I'm sorry to bother you. We have to come out for things like this. Someone called and said there was a young person hitting baseballs into the lake. And I looked at the cop, didn't say a word, and I said, huh? And he said, yeah, I just have to come out for this. And I was like, okay. Have a good day. And I went back inside and closed, shook his hand. I did shake his hand, went back inside, closed the door. Someone called because some kid is having a good time. I didn't need to join the HOA to know this. Now, as for why she is on the HOA or is in the president of the HOA, I don't know. Maybe she just likes pain. I'm not sure, but you chose this life. This is Tony Katz today. Exactly. Close the door. Exactly. I am not anti-police. I never have been. But I don't give up my rights for anyone, anywhere, at any time. And I don't give anybody an invitation, certainly not the police, to enter my home without a warrant. Nope. Nope. Not welcome. You have no reason to be in my home. And I don't have to be hospitable in that way. You're doing a job. Okay, I'm going to go now. And next time crazy person calls about something being hit into the lake, it was what, like 2 baseballs? I mean, it's people have free time. People have free time and a lot of anger. Here's what we've got, right? The radio show is in break, so we will be in break right now. We'll come back. I have got 3 more things for you to go over. And I did have another story. Trump banning trans troops. That is being upheld. And the NVIDIA chips. I've got that also. I will get to both of those things coming up in a little bit. And the Indiana State Senate is supposed to have its conversation about redistricting. So we'll have all that as well. Right now, guys, smoke them if you got them. Kick back, relax. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in a few minutes. Hang tight. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Appreciate all the comments. You can call into the radio show 833-468-8669, 833 got Tony. I'm happy to talk to you there. You can also leave comments. Of course, I will engage with those. Let me put these up. Boom. Comments are right there. You can email me, Tony at TonyKatz.com. I get those as well. Twitter X, Tony Katz. Excuse me for one moment. Sorry. Just a funny moment came up and I had to take advantage of it. I apologize. There we go. Good to be here with you, though. I do appreciate you guys being here. We're going to tell the story of Hank Johnson. We also have Ayanna Pressley, who's worried that AI is not going to do enough to combat racism. Well, you're way ahead of it there, Representative Pressley. The greatest argument for term limits is Hank Johnson. This is the congressman from Georgia, Democrat, who once indeed famously did say in a conversation with the military, there as he was sitting on a committee, that he was concerned about military exercises in Guam. Because if you had all those soldiers there, right? You had all those soldiers on the island, it could capsize. Don't look at me like that. He said it, not me. It was an immediately disqualifying statement, as any rational person would understand. Did I say it low? Did I say Tony Katz today? I did. I'm Tony Katz. How are you? There is no moment that one should be having a conversation with Hank Johnson. You know that Hank Johnson isn't bright. Somebody is going to make the attempt of calling me a racist for saying that a black man, Hank Johnson, isn't bright. He was concerned that if you had too many people on the island of Guam, it might capsize. But no. Go on defending his intellectual prowess. I'll wait. No? We're done now? Okay. There is no reason to speak to the man. There's only a reason to speak to the constituents of his district and say, why do you vote for him? Because it isn't for his mind. It must be for something else. Something more basic, something more simple and simplistic, something perhaps bigoted. But hey, I don't know. Maybe he's got a good personality. I'm sorry. Am I too close to the honesty here? Because I'm cool with that. For whatever reason, Dean Obadala, not a guy who I look to for much. He's got a radio show there on Sirius XM, and he's doing an interview with Hank Johnson. I guess it was a slow news day. By the way, I've been asked many times, hey, Tony, how come you don't do radio on Sirius? And the first answer is, well, they never asked. And then secondly, I don't know. I've never really, I've not thought too much about it. Even when it comes up, I haven't thought too much about it. I don't know. Would it really be a difference? Well, you can curse. Well, doesn't mean that I will. I mean, I know how to. If you've hung out with me for more than 10 minutes, you're fully aware of this. But there you have Dean Obadala interviewing Hank Johnson. In this interview, Hank Johnson engages a world-class, if you thought that my line about Guam was ridiculous, well, you ain't heard nothing yet. Now, some of you out there might think that I am lying when it comes to Hank Johnson and Guam. I lie about nothing. Hold on to your hat.
This is a island that at its widest level is 12 miles from shore to shore, and at its smallest level or smallest location, it's 7 miles between one shore and the other. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very small.
That's the Admiral there being very, very kind. Very, very, very kind to the Congressman. Here it comes.
Small island and about 24 miles, if I recall, long. So 24 miles long, about 7 miles wide at the least widest place on the island, and about 12 miles wide on the widest part of the island. And
he has now spent a minute questioning the dimensions of Guam. At this moment, I know what you're saying. Some people really do need to use condoms. I'm not saying no. I'm there with you. Did I mention hold on? By the way, that was 60 seconds of your life you can never get back. You're welcome. You're never getting those 60 seconds back. You will have this in your head for forever. Welcome to the club. We have t-shirts. Here you go.
I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
He said that to an admiral. Do we all need a minute? Do we all just need a moment? You want to do some breathing exercises? Oh, and the admiral, straight face.
We don't anticipate that.
That's the greatest answer I've ever heard. The capsizing island, we don't anticipate that. Oh God, it's so good. And you would think that is the zenith. That is the top of an insanity. Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. This is Hank Johnson, Representative Hank Johnson, on Sirius XM Radio with Dean Obadala. Now, I don't believe there's any cursing in this, Producer Landon, but I need your finger on the dump button. I need you on it. Right? You got me? Here we go.
This is the penalty. I mean, you're a former judge and you're an attorney as well. The penalty.
Whoa. Hank Johnson was a judge? At a pie eating contest? Where was he a judge? A judge. Holy cow. Sorry. I wasn't ready for that. That was like the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody's ready. Here, I'll continue.
We don't have any penalty in America for someone, even if they were selling drugs, that you would execute them. There's no death penalty that I'm aware of. And even if there was, you're going to have some due process. It's not a situation where you say, I'm not going to show you proof, but just trust me, this person's a drug dealer, and we're going to just kill them. And if they're survivors, we're going to kill the survivors of the initial strikes as well.
This is a conversation about drug boats. Now, I'll get more into this and the nonsense statement of Senator Chuck Schumer, because what else was he going to say other than, I'm not satisfied? Which is funny. That usually gets said to him. The conversation, though, about these drug boats, Democrats think that this is some pile-on on Republicans for being warmongers. I don't think America sees it that way. I think that this is an incredible backfire that is going to leave independents and moderates wondering, why is it that the left is so okay with drugs being brought into the United States? Why are they so weak? Could you imagine if they were in charge of foreign policy? Oh, wait, we already saw what happened with 4 years of Biden when they're in charge. There's, I think, a very big misread going on with this story about the Venezuelan drug boats. Now, we can ask our own questions about this idea of a double tap. We can ask this question about whether or not we should be shooting at these drug boats. We could be asking the questions about whether or not we've actually declared or engaged war with Venezuela, and why Congress hasn't taken the steps to demand that the president come to them to declare war, because that's how it works. Congress declares war. Right? All of that is legit. Worthy questions, one and all. But if we're talking about like where the psyche of America is, where Americans are at, they're happy the drug runners are getting killed. And they're going to wonder, as Democrats keep complaining about this, they keep whining about this, why are you okay with drug running? Why are you okay with fentanyl in the U.S.? Why is this okay with you? Why is your answer always, we should do nothing? Wait for it. I think that pushback is going to start becoming a pretty loud thing. I think Democrats are misreading the moment. But get back to Dean Obadala on his radio show there, Sirius XM, asking this question to Representative Hank Johnson.
This is not what the United States of America is supposed to be about. I don't know how this is playing out on the world stage, because I haven't spoken to people in other countries yet, but this is awful for our nation. This is defining us as some kind of like a Putin-esque type of nation.
Yeah, we are the world's #1 bully.
At that moment, it stopped being funny. The United States is the world's #1 bully? At what moment do you hate Donald Trump so much that you decide to hate the nation as well and engage in what is a progressive, democratic, socialist, communist talking point? That's the kind of thing you would hear at, what is it, the South China Post? You'd hear from the Politburo, from the Communist Chinese. You'd hear from Baghdad Bob. Now you're hearing it from a congressman. Let's go back.
Yeah, we are the world's #1 bully.
And who are we bullying? The drug dealers? The drug suppliers? We're not bullying your Meemaw as she's trying to walk into a Dollar General so she can buy herself a couple of snacks for the grandkids. Again, I ask the question, because I think I might be the first person, and we may be the first people asking the question of, we often talk about how the political left, the Democrats always overplay their hand. And on this conversation of these drug boats, I think they're overplaying their hand because people look at the idea of stopping the flow of drugs into the United States as good. All the other questions about declaring war, which we brought up on this show aside, the basic in the court of public opinion is that they see it as good. And now we're bullies? We're bullies to Maduro, a guy who disregarded 2 elections so he could keep power and the people eat pigeons? That's a bold strategy, Cotton. But wait, there's more.
And we're using our immense, unrivaled power to rule over those who have less power. And we're doing it with impunity. And this sends a shocking message to the world that America is indeed what did they used to call the great hand of Satan or something like that? I mean, America under the Trump regime is demonstrating that that moniker was entirely accurate.
It is the Ayatollah who refers to the United States as the great Satan. It is the Iranian regime that will kill you if you're gay, that goes and funds terrorists to kill Jews and Americans and others. And here is a member of Congress saying, yes, indeed, we are a bully. Oh, no, not just a bully. We are the hand of Satan. We are the great Satan. I put forth to you that if you ever tell me again there's no difference between the two political parties, I'm going to play this, and then very kindly, and you could do the same with other people when they tell you there's no difference between the two parties, play this, and then tell whoever said there's no difference to shut up. But the truth is, we're not talking about the difference between the two parties. We're talking about a very broken America here. We are not the bully. Our power, according to Congressman Hank Johnson, is unrivaled. He's accurate. Do you know how much bullying we could do? You give me 15 minutes, I'll show you more bullying than you ever saw in your life. You want to see what if it would be for America to be truly unbridled and act like those nations do? But we don't do that. We aren't an imperialist nation. But to take the moniker given upon us, put upon us by the Iranians, and say it's true? Hank Johnson and certainly Democrats who follow, they're not like us. They're not like us. Only a fool would actually interview Hank Johnson and think there's a value. Only a fool would listen to Hank Johnson and think he has something to say. And only a fool quotes the Ayatollah and says, yep, that's a good thing to do. And there seems to be way too many fools in Georgia who vote for this. I'm Tony Katz. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. No, I cannot imagine having a conversation. Trying to have a conversation with Hank Johnson. It'd be impossible. It's just, he's an embarrassment. He's a shameful guy. Let's see. Sorry, I just got an interesting email. What the heck? Well, that's new. No, I did not see that coming. Articles of impeachment have been filed, but not how you think. All right. Let's break down what just happened. I mean, I'm just seeing this now for the first time. This just go out? I went out this morning. Okay. So this is pretty fresh. I have not seen this. Let us discuss. So I'm checking to see what's going on out there in the world, see if there's any breaking news or anything like that. And I come across a story about how articles of impeachment have been introduced. I'm like, oh, all right, what's new now? There's always somebody who wants to impeach Donald Trump. This is not new. Al Green did it. There are others doing it. The guy who paints on his eyebrows, whose name eludes me right now. Oh, no, this isn't about Trump. This is about RFK. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. This is the Newsmax story right here. Representative Stevens introduces articles of impeachment against Robert F. Kennedy Jr. What in the world? Haley Stevens, who's running for the Senate in Michigan, Democrat, well, of course, introduced articles of impeachment Wednesday against HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy. She is contending that Kennedy's actions and public remarks have jeopardized public health, increased healthcare costs, and led to cuts in medical research programs. Kennedy outpaces Trump in terms of popularity. He outpaces J.D. Vance. MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, is working and considered a success, and women across America, moms across America, are paying attention. So you're impeaching him because he's been successful. Listen, I was opposed to his nomination. I was opposed to his confirmation. I'm still opposed to it because I know that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a progressive, and I don't want that guy anywhere near power at all or in any way. But even I have to admit, my gosh, this has gone way better than I thought it would. He's connecting. He is focused. And I got to tell you, outside of my just acceptable disdain for how they're pushing the reduction of drug prices, I am very impressed. He comes across professional. He comes across focused. They got rid of the nonsense people and put in actual scientists. That's my take. Yours may be different there, Representative Hale, Stevens, but so what? You want to impeach him because he's successful. That's gross. I'm Tony Katz. Hold on a second. I just got this post, this comment, boring and gay. That is no way to talk about Pete Buttigieg. Honestly, that's just wrong on every level, and you should be ashamed of yourself right there. But you got to express it, and isn't that everything? I don't know. People leave comments. They leave all sorts of comments right there. Let me respond to this person. Now, the Indiana State Senate, they are, so there we are. Let's see if they're there. There's my beautiful flag. It's just they're right there. They're right there. If you talk about where producer Landon is, like he could spit, which he shouldn't do, but he could spit. Boom! He'd hit Senator Good with a loogie. So he's right there. I could have skipped the show and gone to this today. Could have gone and watched it. I would be in the gallery, something. But I want to hear where they are, because this redistricting conversation is huge. Just massive. And right now we're ground zero. I think what's going to happen is that we will see a vote. It is scheduled for Thursday, but I think we're going to see it on Friday. I don't know. I know players, and I have sources. I have absolutely no idea if this is going to pass. I just don't. You would think 40 of the 50 members of the Indiana Senate are Republicans. You need 26 votes. Someone said 25. I don't know if someone's missing. Oh, someone's not showing up. Who is the Republican not showing up? One of the guys from Turning Point was like, so-and-so is not going to show up to the meeting because he spends half the year in Florida and refuses to come back for it. Ryan Mishler. Is this true? I have no idea if it's true or not that he won't be there. So I want to hear what happens. I want to get an idea of where everybody's at, how this conversation is going to go, and whether or not they're going to do the job, whether or not they're going to make the redistricting take place. I don't know. Oh, by the way, an update on the congresswoman who's trying to impeach RFK. Was that a real thing? Stop RFK BS Act? Hold on, was that a real thing? Oh my gosh, it is! HR 5609 from the 119th Congress. To reinstate funding to recipients of grants or other awards. This act may be cited as the Stop RFK's Bad Science Act or the Stop RFK's BS Act. Huh? Look at you knowing things like a guy who knows things. There, I pasted a link to it. You can check it out for yourself right there. The Indiana State Senate is debating redistricting, and right now it is ground zero in the fight. I mean, this is where it's taking place. You've got 40 members, and you have the opportunity. I'm sorry, you have 40 Republicans in the Senate. 50 total. 50 total. I've got that right. And you have all the possibility in the world. All the possibility in the world of this happening. Except I'm not so sure that it's going to happen. I have no reason to think, no reason to believe that redistricting will be successful. None. I just cannot give you a good read on what it is these Republicans are going to do. I hope, my desire is for redistricting. I just can't find anything. I cannot find a read that can make me feel definitive in their actions. Meanwhile, this was set to be on C-SPAN, right? It was going to be for the world to see, and then it went away. I do not know what happened, but it absolutely went away. Like, you can't watch it now. So I guess we'll find out like everybody else. I do have 3 more things for you. 3 more stories that not everybody is talking about, but everybody clearly should be talking about because it's important. First things first, President Trump banning trans troops. 3-judge panel clearing the Trump administration to resume discharging transgender service members. They have instituted Pete Hegseth's policy while the case heads to a full appellate argument next month. Now, it's not that I've had many conversations about this. In conversations I have had about it, the argument has been that it is not trans troops that affect unit readiness. It is troops of different sexes because those people end up having sex together. I swear to you. That has been the conversation. The only thing I care about is troop readiness, whether or not they are prepared to fight. The very concept of trans is far different than any other because we can state clearly through the DSM-5, the diagnostic manual there for the American Psychiatric Association, that it is a mental disorder. I know that's somehow offensive to a lot of people, but I can't concern myself with their offense. I can only concern myself with the facts. And is that somebody you want in the unit to begin with? No part of the military should be about social change or social justice. The military should be about what is best to execute the mission of destroying the enemy. That is it. So with this, it will now get another review. I think the lawsuits will continue. I think you'll see this in the Supreme Court. And I think what the answer is that the military is allowed to decide its standard. People get told they can't be in the military because they have poor eyesight. Now, maybe one could make a joke here about eyesight. If you can't see what's under your belt line and recognize it for what it is, you probably can't be in the military. I cleaned that joke up for radio. I feel good about it. I do. But this is a far from done battle. Very, very far from done. A story you should be paying attention to, your pasta is safe. For now. And it's safe from tariffs because pasta, along with a whole bunch of other stuff, was set to deal with the tariffs and therefore the price going up on imported Italian pasta would have doubled. So the government shutdown, as reported by the Washington Times, has kind of put a kibosh on the tariff, possibly until February, and maybe going into the full-on spring. I'm going to assume that Georgia Maloney, when asked about this, is going to give an eye roll, as she oft does, and says, seriously, what are you doing? It's pasta. This is what the people want. Your people want it too. You think they actually want to eat that American crap? They want the good wheat, the good flour. Don't get silly. There's a little bit of a deeper story here. There was, in the Biden administration, was a conversation about dumping, whether or not Italian pasta was being dumped on the American market because they make too much of it. They weren't able to sell it elsewhere, so they've sent it here at a discount, and therefore they were engaging in an unsavory trade practice. Well, if you're engaged in an unsavory trade practice, okay, we can have ourselves a conversation about that. Otherwise, leave the pasta be. Then there is the special security review of NVIDIA chips. I am not buying into this at all in any way, not 1 ounce, not one bit. This started as a story yesterday about how President Trump was going to be okay with selling chips, these AI chips, to the Chinese, and somehow it's okay because we, the United States, are going to end up with 25%. With all due respect, the only thing worse than no deal is a bad deal. And sometimes it's okay to say to another nation, no deal. You just can't have them. That's where I stand with these chips from NVIDIA. You can't have them. Now they're saying in a report by the Wall Street Journal that the AI chips from NVIDIA are going to go through an unusual, that's the headline, U.S. security review. These are the NVIDIA H200 AI chips. They would be mainly manufactured in Taiwan. From there, follow this, they would travel to the U.S. for a national security review and then would be sent on to China. And we get 25% from the sales. Now, I do not quite know how the United States gets money from the sale from this organization, NVIDIA. We're now partners with companies because that's not going to work out well. That's a bad precedent. The government does not get into bed with companies. We have names for those things. We have historical examples of the problems there. The United States government clears the way for businesses like this to thrive. And sometimes it tells businesses like this, you don't get to sell to China. It's a national security issue. We don't care how much money you're going to make. It's a national security issue. Don't make us remind you, you don't sell to China. It's a national security issue. That, of course, should be the conversation. So with this move, I am not a happy man. The idea that we think that there needs to be a level of competition that is enhanced, or there is a level of competition that's enhanced by selling these chips to China. Well, we got to be able to compete with groups like Huawei Technologies. We prevented Huawei, and so did the Canadians, and so did the Brits, from Huawei, which is spelled Huawei, pronounced Huawei. We prevented them from being the people who set the 5G protocols, which will run the Internet of Things. We quite literally stated, we won't buy your stuff and we will not let you operate here. You are not, this stuff is not welcome. Now, We're saying no. Now we're saying it's okay to sell them chips. That's insane. As for this special review, unless you're going to tell me that the chips are going to be reviewed by the same Israelis that reviewed the pagers, no. It's a ridiculous, terrible, awful, very, very bad idea. We should want no part of this. Less zero. That's the 3 more stories. Now they're back.
They didn't.
This from yesterday?
I think some of your maps are pretty good. Maybe we could learn from them. I don't care that your states don't have one Republican in them. But if we get to play the rules like they do, then we should have the right to do it now. I think I may have said this before, but I was all-state second team in baseball. I got beat out by a sports writer's son. You know somebody, you know somebody. I didn't know anybody. But the case is this. You know there's no rule in baseball, none whatsoever, that says you can't start off any inning of a ball game and start off with 3 base runners. Nothing prohibits it. Now, they made a rule change that says in extra innings, you'll put a player on second base. But you know, there's no rule that says you can't do this in baseball. And I thought, what if we were playing a team and the first inning they put 3 runners on each of the bases. In the second inning, they did the same thing. And the third inning, they do the same thing. And I go to my coach and said, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we allowing them? He said, well, there's no rule against it, but we're better than them. We are better than them. So we'll play at a disadvantage. I said, but coach, the reason I'm playing baseball is not just to feel good. I'm trying to win. I can't win if somebody's taking advantage fairly of us. So why don't we put 3 players on the bases? Coach says, no, we got to be better than that. We just don't do that stuff. Well, the odds are we lost the game. But the game we're playing today is not baseball. It's about the future of our country. I don't mind if they put 3 runners on the bag, as long as we do the same thing. What they get to do, we should get to do. And we should do it. The other thing I've heard, which really bothers me, I probably have done this too. The phone calls we get, the letters we get, the emails we get, we can use that to the advantage of any issue we want to use for our side and what we're trying to get accomplished. But when I heard so many members say, hey, all my district is opposed to this. I mean, they're opposed to it. I said, well, how can that be? We're still a Republican state. And so you guys know this too. We got a poll. 2/3 of the Republicans favor what we're doing. So I got all my cards, my phone calls, and I found these letters. Oh my gosh, what I dreamed about constituents taking the time to write a letter in their own handwriting to express their opinion. And I open them up, I start reading them, and the handwriting on the signature doesn't match the handwriting on the return address. And then I noticed all the letters were the same. But you know the thing that got me most of all? They were postmarked from Pittsburgh. That's what, I don't think my district goes out to there. So who would want to write me a letter and go through Pittsburgh when they just put it in their local post office box? So we looked at all the Republican and Democrats. What was the makeup of all the communication I got? It was 97% Democrat, 2.5% Republican, and 0.5% we couldn't tell. They either weren't registered or they didn't vote in a primary. So what did that tell me? The Democrats were pretty good at organizing what they were going to do. They got George Soros money probably, got people lined up to do all this stuff to make us think our district's opposed to us. Listen, even if they were, they're Democrats. How many Democrats do you guys poll? Oh, I don't get very many. They don't like me very much. The Republicans do. They like me. So you know what I want to listen to? It's not people that show up and they're only Democrats because they can get off work and are paid to be here. I'll tell you what I saw the other day. Today we had so many people out there.
Man, he's getting
I'm
rough.
getting off the elevator. I thought I was in boot camp. So you guys that served in the military, I want to tell you thanks. But you know what boot camp's like when you're in formation and you're running down the street or whatever. They were 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, 15 rows deep, with their platoon leader yelling at them the instructions that they were supposed to carry out on that day. I said, I don't see any Republicans doing that. You know, our guys are working. These people are here. Now, I know this. If you're going in and you have to get instructions of what you have to say, who you have to talk to, how you have to act, and they're yelling it out, this is not their real feelings. They're being paid, guys. I want people that have to take off work to come down and see me. And a lady was here the other day on Senator Gaskell's great committee hearing, said, I watched the House when they discussed this in committee, and one of the members said, why aren't Republicans here? That was his question. She says, well, I have to work. So when we had our hearing, you know what she did? She closed down her business, told her clients, I can't help you today, gave up that money she would have made to come down here to exercise her rights to her opinion.
That is State Senator Michael Young in Indiana talking about redistricting. Tony Katz today, the debate is on. And his argument is the left does this all the time. Of course, we're going to do it too. Oh, and all those protesters you saw opposed to it, they're all paid. There I go out into the halls and there's somebody screaming at them. You got to stand here. You got to say this. You got to yell that. That's not people who believe anything they're saying. They're paid to say it. I mean, taking it right to them is Senator Michael Young. Again, I tell you, I don't know where the state senate's going to go here. I have no idea what this Senate is going to do, but Michael Young is saying directly all those protesters against were a bunch of frauds, paid for frauds. We have a job to do. And if they're going to engage in manipulation here and they're going to do this and they're going to do that, and somehow we have to live above that, no. We're doing this. And he's imploring the Senate to redistrict.
And we sit back and say, it's not fair. It's never been done. We're not going to do it now. But this is the last thing I'll tell you. In 1995, after I ran our elections in 1992 and 94, we went from 42 members to 56. I did everything I could to win those elections, and I did a dang good job at it. We had a Republican speaker. But the speaker came to me sometime after we won and said, what do we do about those maps? Because I'll tell you, Louis Mahern drew some great maps back in 1991. Yeah, they were remarkable. He did a great job. I admire him for the job that he did.
He's now into the place of bloviating. Make your case, get off the stage, sir. That is always my advice, and I think you already made the case as a guy who favors redistricting. You want me to bet? I can't. I'm really at a 50-50. I have got no inkling. I wish I did. I would like to have one. I don't have it. By the way, you are all fully aware that in Texas, there were these challenges to the new map, and those challenges were overcome. The new map was upheld. And if the new map is going to be upheld, this should state to a whole host of people concerned or worried about redistricting, don't be. The map is a political process. Redistricting is a political process. And in the words of Barack Obama, we won. Ball game. So get to it. But I will also say for all you TPA USA people and influencers, if you threaten members of the Indiana General Assembly, you have to understand they don't care, and you have to understand you look ridiculous. All you do is give them reasons not to vote for this. You're the cover. Persuade, engage. Don't be fools. Cut it out. I have got so much more to get into. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. More is coming up. Keep it right here. This is Tony Katz Today. It all continues, guys. It's all going on. I appreciate you guys being here so very, very much. Really do appreciate it. Been splitting up a little bit of a vacation instead of taking one very large vacation, but splitting up into a little bit of time. So I'll be out for a couple days and back again on Monday. I know. Tony, when you're not here, it's sad. Taking some time with family, taking some time to get some things done, and then back to it. So I am back on Monday, but there will be some videos. Originally, we were going to do a live stream tonight over at TonyKatz.com, but I have to do some podcast work, so I'm not able to get to that. So we're going to schedule that for next week. And I'm looking forward to it over at TonyKatz.com. You should be over there. You should be a part of what's happening over there. Subscribe right now, TonyKatz.com. You should do that immediately, if not sooner. I appreciate you guys so very, very much. Don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube, and I will catch you very soon. And don't forget TonyKatz.com. Crazy stuff happens over there. You should videos, everything. Get over there right now. Catch you later, guys. You be good now. Take care.